Yo, what is good in the hood, folks? Welcome to Gameplay, the eSports show that keeps you in the know of all things high school and university eSports in South Africa. Yeah, but yes, you know what it is. It's your hostess that does the mostest, Collins Banyame, aka Scary in the eSports streets. And I hope y'all had an amazing Valentine's last week, because me personally, it was one to forget, literally, because I fell asleep, folks. I was tired. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. It was a long weekend. But anyways, today we touch on results and fixtures in the ASL space, and we cover a recent orientation event that took place in one of the ASL schools. We have our session in the classroom as usual, and finally ending it off, we have my celebrity guest interview. So without any further ado, Azish. So jumping right into things, let's catch up with the ASL space. Let's talk results. We're back in action like a Chuck Norris movie, papa. Last week, we saw the ASL leagues kick off with Fortnite action, and here were the results from week number 1. The Anchor coming through guns blazing first with an amazing performance on the day, sitting with 84 points. Not too far behind in second, we saw Klerksdorp nothing but gas running through teams, but just fell short at 80 points. In third, Pinelands all aim, no brain, just W-key their way through, sitting on 76 points. And fourth, we saw Edgemead come through with 67 points, and to complete our top 5, Kiro Brackenfeld's Knights scored 55 points. All in all, a successful first day of action, and I can't wait for what's to come. And as I said in the beginning of the season, this year the heat is turned up, baby. So it's going to be exciting coming through. The ACGL team started an initiative alongside the Toyota gaming engine. Now, being in esports for as long as they have, you understand the barrier for entry into the industry is a bit crazy at times. But their fix? Providing equipment to the schools to allow for that barrier to be lowered down. Schools across Cape Town are now invited to reach out if you'd like the TTGE and ACGL team to deploy at your schools. It's an amazing initiative providing equipment to schools that can't really afford just yet. This past week, they were down at Bosmanden's Primary for a 16-man EAFC 25 tournament. And if you'd like to get your school involved, pop them an email at schools@acgl.gg or pop them a message on their socials and get your school in the game. Alongside that, they were also down at PRG this past week for an eSports orientation day. Am I salty that they're having an eSports orientation day? No. Maybe. None of your business. Anyways, regardless of that, while they were down there, they had a chat with one of the students that was attending the orientation day. Let's see what they had to say.
We are here with
Willem Daniel van Zyl.
who just finished his weekly Fortnite games. So, how did you feel about them?
It's all about practice, consistency, and the level of your skill is basically determined on how you play with your team. So I think me and my team personally did well this week. We definitely have some improvements to make, but otherwise it's fine for now. But I feel good about all our tournaments right now. I think our team is placing well, and that's all I can say, but it's good.
Awesome. And where did you place in your first game and then your second game?
So in my first game I placed 6th, and in our second game we placed 5th.
That's pretty impressive with how big the lobbies are. What would you like to see your team work on specifically to get a bit better?
I think just teamwork, general teamwork. Some Fortnite players, I might use some concepts right now. Some Fortnite players might understand rotating to zones, and it's really hard to work as a team because every other team has had at least 2 years experience, and our team, we just started this year, but for the few weeks of practice that we had and our trials, I feel like we're very, very good and confident at the moment.
100%. And would you say having Bojo as a coach helps you strategize, help you be a better team? What kind of impact do you feel he has?
He really has a big impact because he's a professional player. So getting the insights of a professional player really helps us up our level and really know more about the game and what can benefit us.
What would be your goal for this year in terms of Fortnite?
In terms of Fortnite, maybe make it to some LANs, some tournaments that tourists are invited to, go into this year, have exponential results so that we can become better, and just the general growth of our team I think is the best what we need right now.
Cool. And the last question I have is, why Fortnite? What spoke to you about Fortnite versus some of the other games you've played? Like, what is the main difference that makes you passionate about it?
What makes me passionate about it is my passion for strategic games. So it's also a combat game, but I can use my strategic brain power in the game, such as rotating into zones and many other concepts. And I think my uncle has been a big role in my life. So when I saw him playing it, it's kind of like whatever he does, I kind of fit into and do. So I think it's all thanks to my uncle that I'm standing here being interviewed and playing Fortnite today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's time for a session in the classroom now. This week, our pro tip comes from your boy, me. So with the teaser of Fortnite servers for South Africa dropping not too long ago, I figured why not share some quick tips for people that want to get a bit competitive come server drop time. So grab your controllers, grab your notebooks, and for some of y'all, keyboards and mice, and let's jump right in. What's happening, folks? Welcome to the video. So obviously this is going to be a tips and tricks video, and there has been the announcement of Fortnite servers dropping soon, and with that we have to prepare ourselves. We have to get ready for that instance, and once those servers drop, you need to be on the ball. And I want to possibly be able to help with a few tips here and there. They might not be the best tips or the greatest, but they are core fundamentals that can help you going forward, and also just the simplest ways can always be the most effective. But without any further ado, let's jump into our first one, and our first tip is going to be learn the meta. The most important thing about being a Fortnite player is being flexible and being able to adapt to a new meta. And with a game like Fortnite, there's an ever-changing meta every single season. So if you're a player that is not really accustomed to changing a lot, you need to change that. Because with an ever-changing meta, you need to be on the ball and understand what is the best guns, the best rotation strategies, the best possible outcome for you to win a game. So if you're always on the ball with the meta, you will definitely be a one step closer towards that victory royale. Second, moving forward, is practicing high intensity situations. And I mean, there's a number of ways that you can do this, but one of them being first, open up creative with one of your friends, playing some box fights, or putting yourself in scenarios where you're putting a bit of pressure on yourself and trying to learn how to play out of these intense situations. Another instance is sometimes solo queuing, or rather going into maybe a solo duo game, solo trios game, solo squads game, putting yourself in positions where you're in a 1v2, 1v3, or even a 1v4 situation, learning how to adapt when you're alone. Because sometimes when you are in those team scenarios and you are one man down, two man down, you have to fend for yourself. You have to be able to adapt in these situations. So learning to play around in these sort of 1v2, 1v3 disadvantageous positions can really be sort of beneficial for yourself going forward. And the last tip I'll be talking about is play confidently. You cannot be a pro player and not be confident, and you don't realize how effective it can be until you're actually making more confident plays that actually throw off your opponent in a lobby. There's certain pushes that your opponent might not predict, but you are confident enough to make it and also do it in a smart manner that gets you the win in that exchange and actually takes out your opponent. So it's not just about having the idea of wanting to be confident, but it's rather your confident plays throwing off the people in your lobby. So practicing confidence is the most important thing, and trying to do that and implementing it in your competitive games, I guarantee you, will bring you so much success. But that is going to be it for our tips for today, and let's get back to the show. Now it's time for gaming opportunities in your area, and this one's for the teachers this time. For teachers watching at the moment, this one is for you. The Curo Indaba is taking place in Pretoria on the 6th to the 8th of March, and I hope you'll be there. Make sure you don't miss out on an amazing workshop program to improve your knowledge on esports and help grow your school in the right direction. We're at venue capacity, unfortunately, but you can be added to a separate list. Email Mags from Curo at magdalene.d@curo.co.za if you'd like to get involved. Now it is time for Game Chat with my special celebrity guest. He is one of the most decorated Fortnite veterans in South Africa that has been competing at the highest level of Fortnite for as long as the game has been out. So stick around, because our chat's coming up next. What is happening, folks? Welcome back to the show. And now it is time for my special celebrity guest interview, introducing pro Fortnite player, the notorious man Adam himself, aka Neymar. Neymar, how are you doing today, good sir?
Fine, thanks, and you, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, dude. It's finally, it's a great time to have you on the show because there's been some announcements around Fortnite recently, but before we get into any of that, man, you've had an amazing career. You pretty much the most widely recognized Fortnite players locally in South Africa. You've been at the top of your game for many years. I wanted to know what actually got you into esports and how long has it been?
Firstly, thank you. Long story short, I don't know if you remember a guy named Clouds. He used to play for 80K.
Yes.
So he was streaming one day and I was like on YouTube just scrolling on my PC or my phone or whatever.
Whatever happened to Clouds? I remember his streams on YouTube.
I spoke to him like 3-4 months ago. I think he's in Italy now. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Love that.
But so I was on YouTube and I saw he was like streaming ZA Customs or whatever. And he was looking for a duo at the time.
Yeah.
So I told him, listen, I have like over 1,000 wins and everyone cared about wins back then,
Yeah. It was the big thing at that time in
exactly.
season 1.
So it was like on the track or whatever. So he searched up my name and he was like, wow, like, okay, cool. So I ended up playing with him and he like got me into the tournaments. We played a few tournaments and then he introduced me to the community and like everything like that. So.
Jeez, and how many years would you say it's been that you've been in esports?
Like competitively or professionally, since I joined Bravado, like I'd say 5 years.
Jeez, that's wow, man. It's been a journey, dude.
It's been a long journey.
And speaking on that, actually, so you've been a part of some of the biggest orgs locally, right? I mean, you've gone from Nixa to 5 years with Bravado Gaming, and now you're representing Exceed, right? Talk to me about your experience as a youngster in organizations and how important it is to choose wisely when you are joining orgs, when you're very young.
I think when you're so young, right, you have to obviously have someone there with you, whether it's your parents or whatever, to guide you into the org. And my biggest thing is, and I'll say this now, like without Bravado, without Dimi, Andreas, Zozo, I'm so glad that I met them and I had that time with them because I wouldn't be who I am today without them. So it means and it impacts your entire life, especially when you just get into the scene. And then also with regards to being in Nixa, and thank God I'm in Exceed now, but long story short, like be careful of promises. Just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean they're all the best for you. And just make sure like everything with contracts and etc. is all gone through a lawyer, everything's in order and etc. It plays a big part because the people around you can take you far. Let me put it to you like that.
That's for sure. Because there's always the saying that you should never really burn bridges and all of that. You always need to maintain good relationships. So would you say that it's also very important to make sure you maintain good relationships with people as well while you're in these organizations, no 100%. Matter if you're in one for long term or short term?
100%, no matter what. Try and, obviously, whether it's business, orgs, or whatever the case is, make sure you always keep that door open. Obviously, don't fully close it because you never know what could happen in the future. You never know if like you need something or you think you could do a potential deal with someone. You can be like, oh wait, I know this guy.
Yeah.
So,
and there's something you actually mentioned there as well, is like, be careful of promises as well. And sometimes people will say things and say that. And one thing I was taught coming into esports is you don't really make that many friends as well. Is it a thing that you also not necessarily should be pushing people away, but also be hyper vigilant of the people around you?
100%. But like when it comes to organizations, I mean, I told Exceed this, I told Nexus, and I told Bravado this. Before I joined, before everything else, like when I'm joining, I want to join into essentially a family. I want to have a relationship with them. I don't just want to be, for example, an owner and a player, if that makes sense. Because I feel like once you have friends in the org, or when you're working with friends, you overall work better and you feel more confident.
It's a better work environment as well for you, right?
So I guess it all depends. Obviously, be aware, 100%. Don't give full trust up or whatever the case is, for sure, 100%. But over time, if they've shown you, the respect or whatever the case is, then for sure, then, open up. That's how I see it.
Awesome. So moving on from that, well, actually staying on that topic, you were with Bravado Gaming for 5 years, right? And I mean, at the time, and still right now, they are one of the most prestigious orgs and the longest running in South Africa. Talk me through how it was keeping up expectations for such a big org, but also still studying in school and maintaining all these other different responsibilities you had growing up.
So it's actually a question I get asked a lot. So long story short, I don't know if you remember, Bravado was supposed to take the Fortnite team to Poland for 6 to 8 months. So when that got announced, or when that was told to us, I was like, okay, this is obviously a lifetime like opportunity. You know, I'm gonna go overseas, play on Zero Ping for like 6 to 8 months. This can be it, you know. So I was like, Mom, I don't know if I wanna go to school. I wanna rather do homeschooling, focus on my Fortnite, because if everything can go well in the 6 to 8 months, I can change, you know.
Yeah.
Like our lives, for example, like
entirely different switch up. Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, okay, so I did homeschooling for a few months, and then COVID hit.
Was that the time?
Yes. So it was like, it was about to happen, and then COVID hit. So I was like, and then throughout COVID, I just finished my studies. Like, yeah, I mean, everyone was at home.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was just, I guess that.
It's rough, man.
Yeah.
So would you say that, actually rather, what's the most important thing like students need to focus on if they're competing at a high level, but also still have their studies on the side?
I think definitely just balance it out. I mean, it depends how long you need to study for sure. But obviously put your studies first, 100%. And then I mean, if you practice well, how to say, what's the word? You don't have to put so much time into the game. If you practice well and you have scheduled hours or whatever the case is, you'll still be as good as
It's more like quality over quantity.
100%, exactly, yeah.
Fantastic. So moving into our last thing, we have Fortnite servers being announced, right? And I mean, that's something we've all been fighting for. I mean, those points where we were
6, 7 years.
on Twitter spamming out the hashtag, but it's happening soon enough. I want to know from your perspective, right? Do you think we might be seeing the return of a golden age for Fortnite? Because I mean, you've been there when Fortnite servers were constantly packed out. And I mean, even right now we have the high school leagues that are heavily invested with regards to participants. Do you think we may be able to see the sort of attention and sort of attraction that we had at Fortnite back then, now going into this time?
I mean, right now, other than like Twitter, everything else, like TikTok, our tournaments, they're all popping. Even though our prize pools isn't necessarily like big, the lobbies are still full out. And this is even before servers were like announced, for example. And I mean, there's still hope. I do hope they do come. I know Hypex tweeted out, I think Hypex is a very reliable leaker for Fortnite.
Yeah.
He tweeted out, like, I think it was 2 days ago, that Mexico servers were added. So if Mexico servers were added, I rate we have way more players than Mexico, right? Yeah. I think it's gonna come in the next few days, I hope. The new season's out on Friday. Imagine a huge announcement, servers and the new season.
I'm shaking with excitement, because I mean, it's also like remembering those moments with all those packed zones and all.
Exactly.
But what is one thing as well that you would say that, you know, maybe the up and comers who are maybe watching guys like you, Aviva, all the like current pro players right now, what do you think they should focus on in their game if they want to start competing at a higher level, or at least start working their way up?
I think me personally, if servers come, I mean, I know like a lot of South African pros are going to be streaming for sure. As long as they get into the tournaments and they keep on grinding the tournaments, the practice, whether they even watch the South African players or even overseas players, because in my opinion, the overseas players are going to be much better than us still, just because they've been on Zero Ping for much longer.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you watch them and you take their gameplay or their thinking into our community, for example, be perfect. That's how I see it.
Fantastic. But
Perfect.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me, Adam. Absolutely. But before I let you go, please look towards that camera, plug your socials, let people know where they can follow you, find you, or interact with you.
On Twitter, I'm NeymarXV. On TikTok, NeymarX. And on YouTube, just search Neymar with 2 R's and I'll be there.
But that's going to be it for the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And this has been yet another amazing episode of Gameplay. Make sure you join us next week where I have yet another exciting guest. But with that, that's been Gameplay. I have been Scorer. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. GG's, gamers.